We can read a couple chats here before we jump into the big subject of today.
Yes.
And you all know what's coming, figuratively and literally. We got not a band account with a hot take in the chat that we happen to disagree with, and we're going to get into the specifics why.
Okay.
3 chats in a row. Spoiled rail workers failed to inspect the train. If anybody remembers the stream where we actually had a 30-year railroad veteran on the show to talk to us about the shit that's going on behind the scenes, I think spoiled is, well, you're wronger than 2 boys fornicating in church. Trump's DOT policies let this safety lapse happen. Also incorrect. We'll get into why. Mm-hmm. And without rail unions, we'd have inspection standards. That one may have some validity to it because railroad unions are basically useless, as Texas Rail Dog attested in his appearance on our stream.
Yeah, and most people don't seem to understand that the railroads have been owned by the government since 1917.
Yep. They were nationalized during the First World War.
That's 105 years.
So essentially, I mean, the federal government owns Amtrak lock, stock, and barrel.
Yep.
Which is why they can continue to be a vacuum of money and no one bats an eyelash. But in some semblance, like the U.S. government is responsible for the railroad network. Yeah. There's companies in there, but their unions are essentially worthless.
Now, I could believe one derailment because they do happen from time to time, maybe 2. Within a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's plausible. But we're up to, what, 5 or 6 now?
5. And then the 6th one, which was another hazardous chemical spill down, I believe, in Tucson, Arizona, which happened just hours before we went live, wasn't a train. It was a semi-truck.
Okay.
And I believe it was holding nitric acid, something like that. So it spilled over. It's like this orange smoke coming out of it.
Yeah, nitric acid is pretty nasty, but it does degrade quickly.
Yeah, it's not like the trench gas that's burning off in Ohio.
Yeah, that's another thing. The derailment in Ohio, they set it on fire on purpose.
Yep.
And that smoke you see coming off of there is phosphogene gas, which was used during World War I.
Yep.
And that stuff it lingers, is absolutely devastating, and there are still whole areas in France called the red zones where you can't go in there, you can't farm in there. The land is completely toxic and fatal if you decide to play around in there for any length of time. Yep. And that was 105 years ago. Mm-hmm. This is serious business.
Yes.
When you show that picture of the smoke from the
I just got to find it here.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Look at that picture. That is the equivalent of a minor nuclear warhead going off in a suburban area.
They got
minus
Chernobyl.
The radiation, but you're getting just the same amount of toxic effects from the chemicals that are in the air now. They're going to affect multiple states, if not poison the entire water supply for 3 or 4 different states.
6. The Ohio River feeds 6 states and serves 5 million people.
Correct.
And it's right there.
Yep. Whoever decided that it was a good move to set that stuff on fire needs to seriously be, I would say, charged with a felony. I mean,
at the very least, it's more like a crime against humanity at this point because we're going to see the effects of this playing out for decades.
Correct. And another opinion that was brought up by an individual who provides me with intelligence, he's saying that perhaps this was done so when people do get sick and they start falling off the reservation from, what have you, and they want to go after certain companies that made a vaccination, they won't be able to because they won't be able to prove if they died from that or this chemical spill. Now, that's a stretch.
That's a stretch.
It's a stretch, but it does have a little credibility to it.
Although I do find it hysterically funny that the same people who said you were going to kill grandma if you didn't wear a face diaper for the last 3 years are the same ones who encouraged this, and they're completely fucking silent on it. All the climate crisis people, all of the supposed health experts are the ones saying the air is fine, the water is clean, you can go back home.
Yeah.
Don't worry about your livestock and your animals and the schools of dead fish floating down the river. That's to be expected.
All right. Now,
Wow.
this is another thing that you need to keep in the back of your thinking meat. All of our media is owned by 6 corporations.
Yep.
This has had a media blackout since this has started on the 4th of February.
Yeah. I mean, you take a look at this right here. One of the journalists covering it was arrested, not because he did anything wrong, but because he kept speaking during the governor's remarks. I'm of the belief that he wasn't arrested with any intent to hold him for a particular crime. He was arrested as an example. And what he was saying, this is a cover-up. You work for us. Know your place. That's all this was.
That's all he said. And you know what? There needs to be some serious lawsuits over that.
Yeah, there is.
That is huge crap. And listen, I'm not afraid to talk about this.
No.
This needs to be brought out into the public. And please, when this stream is over, it's up to everyone out here to spread it far and wide because the mainstream media isn't.
Spread it far and wide, just like his ex.
Allegedly.
We have to joke around a little bit, otherwise we're going to go nuts.
Yeah, this is insane.
Speaking of which, MGTOW Forever wants Big Black Straw. Your ex's favorite.
Stop it. Allegedly.
Now, everybody knows about the Ohio one by now.
Yeah.
The media blackout was an absolute failure because, let's face it, the internet exists. Did you know
that
there were 4 more?
There are 4 more.
Within the last week. Most of them within the last 48 hours.
All right. 1 or 2 within a week.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be convinced that it, was a fluke kind of thing. This is way beyond statistics. This is intentionally being done.
You ever seen the movie Wild Things?
Yes.
Kevin Bacon, what have you. He shoots Denise Richards, and then he's in front of the advisory panel of cops that are, judging his shooting, whether or not it was justified. And I've always remembered this. The cop who's, overseeing the case said, "We had an expression when I was back in the military. Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action. 5.
Yep.
So here we go. And this is one of the things that's really cracking me up is that I'm seeing eye to eye with, of all people, like, this is something that is bringing together people on both sides of the political spectrum. The far right beasties and the far left idiots are meeting in the middle and actually seeing eye to eye on this. I read a quote from Ilhan Omar and agreed with it. Wow. Yeah, I want to say that it's like down here somewhere. It just blew my mind that I actually read something that I agreed with her saying. But yeah, I mean, you see this, it's just absolutely nuts. And then, so this is Ohio. And then right here, we got Montgomery, Texas. We got a video. Let's check it out.
Yeah, and actually, I'm trying to avoid sensitive areas here. I'm going to zoom out real quick. But it looked like there was 2 pieces of what a cab was, and I can actually try to point it out. Over right behind where those cars derailed, there's like pieces of what looks like a cab area, and you can see where those investigators are standing. That's the point of impact.
Yeah, from what I understand, this one was a semi-truck that collided with the train. The train collided with the semi-truck. It was trying to cross the railroad tracks, and boom. So that's Texas.
Yeah.
Then you have South Carolina. Investigation underway after train derailment in Enori. And just like with, just like with Ohio, this was right near a waterway. So you got that one there. And then we have one in Kentucky. Crew members escape fiery train after it derails in Kentucky. This was, again, this was posted yesterday morning. This is just
Has
insane.
anyone out there...
96 loaded ethanol cars.
Yeah. Has anyone out there had the mainstream media do a story on all of these at once? No. Because they're owned by 6 corporations, and they're pushing propaganda. Propaganda is not only just lying to you, it's also lying through omission.
Yep. And then we have Tennessee. 5,000 residents evacuated from Maryville after a freight train car carrying highly flammable toxic gas derailed and caught fire. How many of these have to happen in a short span of time before we realize, hey, something's wrong here?
I mean, listen, they explained away all of the food processing and, farms burning down is a big coincidence, even though what happened is 3 times above the actuary tables of these things that should happen.
Yep.
So literally, it's a 300% increase. We're being teed up for a mass extinction event. You heard it here first.
It's bad news bears, baby. It is bad news bears. Wow. And then we'll take a look at the Ohio River system, because this is all kinds of fun and games.
Oh, my God.
There it is. So you can see how many rivers go through this area. And, I mean, you're talking about this is a water supply system for 5 million people.
Yep.
6 different states.
Yeah, plus these chemicals are probably going to sink down into the water table.
Yep.
And cause nothing but just an assload of problems for the next 200 years.
We are going to see cancer clusters galore.
Yeah, I
in
lived
these areas.
in the Mohawk Valley in New York State. I lived there for 5.5 years, and the cancer cases in that valley were astronomically high.
Yep.
Because back in the day, they had all kinds of factories and other companies that were just dumping toxic waste out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? It's still killing people 100 years later.
Yeah. This is going to be, I mean, we're just hearing about this now, but we're going to be hearing about the effects of this long into the future.
Yes.
Decades to come, I guarantee it. Yeah. What do you think? This is like Biden's Katrina, do you think? Because you got people from the left and the right and everybody in the middle wondering why the hell this administration, duly elected, of course, is nowhere to be found on this issue. In fact, when they tried to parade out Buttigieg on Monday and ask him about it, he completely deflected and talked about something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because quite literally, they have, well, one, how are you going to spin this to make it any better? You're not.
No.
The only thing they can do is ignore it until it goes away.
Well, you know what they're going to do, and we'll get into this in depth. They're going to blame the railroad workers. They're going to blame the railroad unions. They're going to blame the railroad industry in general. And they have been preparing for this for a long time. Mm-hmm. And we do have the receipts. If you watched our stream on the railroads, we went into it a lot more in depth, but this has been a slow roll for decades.
Yep.
This wasn't any one administration. This was planned. This was arranged.
Yeah. And listen, if we have a spill that's this bad, why the hell can't we get the number of cars involved, the chemicals that are actually burning, and then tell us the cause? Why can't we get that information?
Mm-hmm.
That is very suspicious, in my opinion.
It's very suspicious. And there really was no other better course of action than to light this shit on fire. Obviously, It can be safely transported in the correct container. So isn't the method used to put it into said container still a viable method possibly for extracting it from a site?
I really don't know. I know that usually when toxic chemicals are spilled, they usually come out with bulldozers, dig up all of the dirt, put it in barrels, take it to an incinerator, run it through there at insanely high temperatures to break down the chemicals.
Yep.
But you burn them and they go into the air. What are you going to do? Dig up all of Ohio's topsoil and burn it all? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, let's take one of the biggest states with the most farm area per capita within that state and just dig up all its topsoil. Yeah, because we already don't have a manufactured food crisis.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, well, let's check it out. Somebody in the chat was like, they lit it on fire on purpose. Yes, they did. We have the receipts. All of these sources are available on redonkulous.com. One of the journalists at the scene, he was a hazardous materials specialist, Silverado Caggiano. We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. That was how he read it.
Wow.
Nearly 48 hours after the incident, a situation took a concerning turn when changing conditions within one of the rail cars led authorities to warn of a potential major explosion. Officials took quick action, conducting a controlled release of vinyl chloride. On Twitter, images of a towering plume of hazardous chemicals were shown to be seen from miles away.
Yep.
By the way, they only evacuated a 1-mile radius.
Yeah.
This cloud is 200 miles across.
Yep. It's probably up here by now.
Yep, it probably is. An entire town was evacuated. Fish and livestock are dying. On Wednesday, residents were told it was safe to return home. The same people who said that you would kill grandma if you didn't wear a face diaper, and the world's going to end in 11 years unless you give up all your carbon footprints, they're the ones making this call.
Yep. I mean, what the hell? You want to talk about a hypocrisy of idiots? Holy crap.
No kidding. But this is an absolute environmental disaster, and as of now, still no federal help has been deployed.
No FEMA.
It's been over a week.
Yeah, no FEMA, nothing.
Nothing.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Now look at that smoke.
It's just insane.
What
Look at it.
goddamn what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, we have another Gab video here. I believe it was taken from TikTok, but either
Okay.
way, I mean, this kind of summarizes it very well.
Let me see
Massive
it.
train derailed Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials as flames lit up the sky in northeastern Ohio.
The evacuation order is in place for anyone within a mile radius of the crash site.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit! The fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine! This is not
that.
fucking storm clouds!
Yep.
Look at it!
That's the cloud from above.
Yeah,
Wow.
from high altitude.
I got arrested because I was trying to do a live report about what people need to know.
2 miles from the derailment, it says, dead fish floating.
Yep.
East Palestine, look at that.
Officials
Lake Erie
are
right
claiming
above
that the
it.
air and water are safe. Residents say they can still smell chlorine. They've complained about their eyes watering when they go outside, and one woman says the noxious air killed her chickens.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down and went very fast.
Air quality's fine, don't worry about it.
Look at all these fucking crows. I'm not kidding. This is within 10 miles of East Palestine.
The rail companies block safety rules, yep. And I guarantee you, remember Biden struck a deal with the railroad unions not too long ago. What you want to bet that there was something in there in this deal, which was extraordinarily unfair already.
Yep.
There you go. It's what happens when you nationalize something. Has the government ever gotten its hands on anything that it hasn't completely fucked beyond all recognition?
Oh, let me think. NASA, maybe. But they
and
did.
even then, I mean, you have like the Challenger explosion and
Yeah.
all this other shit that's happened with NASA. Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, you did have the two space shuttles. Was it 2 or 3? I'm trying to remember that exploded.
Yeah.
But let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt.
You strap something to the equivalent of 100 tons of dynamite and then set it on fire and fire it up into space. Just a number. Listen, it's just the odds. Sooner or later,
yeah, you're putting your life in somebody else's hands.
sooner or later, you're going to get turned inside out on fire. I'm just saying.
You just keep tempting fate and you see what happens.
Yeah, fuck around and find out.
Yeah. But I will say this. One of the most refreshing things about seeing these globalist elite hacks accelerating their plans because they lost precious time under a Trump presidency is the awakening of people who you can just look at them and it'll tell you how they vote. And here's a really great example. This is a 3-minute rant, and it is epic.
All right.
Because of who it comes from. You want to see what this person looks
a
like?
nose ring, green-haired idiot.
There you go.
Yeah.
In fact, the first time when I saw the freeze frame, I couldn't tell if this person was male or female.
You know what? Why don't we just call them zidiots?
Zidiots!
Yeah, Generation Z idiots. Zidiots.
You bunch of zidiots.
Let's make that a thing.
Fear the syrup.
I see so many people talking about the train derailment at East Palestine, Ohio. And all I'm going to ask is that
Okay, so
if
female.
you do this, you get your facts right. I literally grew up right down the road from East Palestine. My old childhood best friend lives in the fucking town. My current best friend literally lives right next to the town. It is so much worse than what the media is telling any of us.
You see that long pause there? You can actually, if you listen closely, you can hear the red pill go down her throat.
Yep. Or up her ass.
That too. Yeah.
Maybe both.
Yeah. I mean, red suppositories are very painful. Why do you think I sit with a butt cushion? Just saying.
I'm getting reports from people that are down there right now that they're literally seeing schools of fish floating down streams, rivers, fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
I got a video from my friend, okay? And she's like walking, dude. It's all fucking dead. All fucking dead. And on the top of the water is a really pretty chemical rainbow sheen. The chemicals are...
But the water's fine.
Yeah.
The EPA said so.
Yeah. Listen,
they're totally looking out for you, bruh. Government totally didn't cause this problem. They're the solution to the problem. That is going to be the spin.
Yep.
They're in the fucking water, and they're lying to the rest of the country saying they're not.
This is what it looks like when someone wakes up.
The soil's been contaminated. The fucking air is contaminated. You literally are about to see some of the worst fucking health side effects coming out of people in that town. It's not even funny. And y'all want to know something even more fucked up? The restaurant that I work at in a whole different state had to donate food to them because we had people from the churches calling to tell us that Red Cross never fucking came, FEMA never fucking came, the environmental conservationists still have yet to fucking come, and nobody's fucking helping them. Meaning all of the fucking firefighters that were working get no food, have nothing to help them, nothing. Okay, all the people that were displaced have no food, water, a place to stay. None of that shit. It is so much worse than what they're telling you, and TikTok probably won't even let me post this video, but if this video gets posted, please save it and repost it everywhere you fucking can, because I'm telling y'all, they are covering this shit up. They are covering this shit up because they don't want to get out how bad it actually was. This was not good. This was the worst fucking thing that's happened probably in the past 8 years.
All right.
That entire town is basically unlivable now because of the fucking chemicals. And they're lying, telling civilians that it's safe, knowing damn well, because I took chemistry and I know chemicals and I have this awesome fucking supercomputer in my hand. The side effects from breathing in those chemicals.
105 years later in France, still unlivable.
The red zone, and I sent you that link.
Yep.
We'll add it to the sources so you guys can get them all yourself. Now, listen, it's up to you to push this podcast out because they're doing everything in their power to cover this up.
This is just fucking insane, man. Oh,
all right. Let's do an inventory.
Just one with this level of cover up would be bad enough. Five. How much of a coinky dink are we expected to swallow on this one?
Well, I mean, we believed the burning food plants and the thousands of dead cows, millions of chickens getting killed because of flu. Listen, something is going on.
Yeah.
All right. And listen, I am not one of those conspiracy theorist guys. I'm a trained intel analyst. All I do is I look at a story, put a dot. Look at another story, put a dot. Oh, there's something going on over there, put a dot. And then I connect the dots to see what kind of horrid picture that it's making. Mm-hmm. And it's literally painting a picture. They want you dead. They want the United States in the toilet. And they're doing everything in their power to make this so. And what makes it worse, they bought our government to make it happen. There, I said it.
Yep.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. There were times in my life where I got to sit back and watch shit burned down, and it wasn't that bad.
Well, what did you call it? Like fires? You call it Ranger TV, right?
Yeah. And it's what it is. Okay. But the thing is, this is my country, and I'm very upset.
Yes.
All the other stuff I saw was when other countries, war zones, what have you. Listen, a war zone is supposed to be a huge clusterfuck.
Amen to that.
I mean, that's war. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's quite entertaining when you're basically a chaos magician like I am.
Chaos magician.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporters Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.